Hi there and welcome to Scrap and Coffee. It's time to make the handle of the bread purse for our second version. So we are ready to make the handle for our second bread purse. For me it's the second, but so I decorated the whole thing except for the smaller spine. Because we are going to place breads through here, we are going to use our pattern paper to cover that up. So what I'll be needing is some pieces of Tyvek, some pieces of cardstock, 2 jump rings, half an inch, 4 eyelets and 4 breads with longer legs. These are the Tim Holt breads and they have a little longer legs than the normal bread. I use black Tyvek because that gives me that nice leathery look and it's pretty sturdy, it's not going to rip. So if you don't have any Tyvek, you can do it with cardstock, but yeah, you have a higher chance of it ripping over time. So yeah, I do recommend using some kind of Tyvek. If you don't have black Tyvek and you only have white, then you can color it with alcohol ink or alcohol based markers. And also I'm going for a pretty difficult look. It's going to be quite some work to make it, and I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So you can also go for just a plain, more simple look. I would go for maybe 3/8 to half an inch all over the length and just place the ends with breads on here. But I just wanted to go for a little bit of extras because that's just who I am. So we are going to start with making the smaller pieces that we are going to attach onto our top spine, the smaller spine. And for that we are going to need cardstock, really small pieces, 1/4 of an inch by 2 1/4, and we have some Tyvek that is also 2 1/4 by 5/8 of an inch. You can find all the measurements in the cutting guide that's available free on my website. That's scrapandcoffee.com. I've already placed some double-sided tape on my cardstock and I'm going to do the same thing on the Tyvek. I'm going to place it along the cut edge over the longer side. So we can place that piece of cardstock on there and just wrap it actually with the Tyvek, but pretty simple wrap is what I'm going for. See if this is going to work. It's like I said, it's going to be a pain in the ass with all these small pieces and placing eyelets on those small pieces. But you'll see, you have to bear with me a little bit because it's been a while since I've made that handle. So I've tried to figure out what it was that I did, but I'm not sure how it's gonna go. So double-sided tape on both long sides along the cut edge. I removed the tape backing of the cardstock and I'm going to place this in the middle over the length from cut edge to cut edge, as straight as I can get it with this small piece. Remove the tape backing as well from the Tyvek, of course, and now I just like to place it on its side and fold it over, just help it a little bit, and then do the other side, same thing, just fold it over, and then we have that piece wrapped with the Tyvek. Now I like to round that corner a little bit, so I'm just using the small scissors. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now we can also see the white edges of the Tyvek. So I'm using a Sharpie and I only have a really big one, but it works. I'm just going over the places where I can see that white showing. It's the details. Okay, so now, and you would do that twice, of course, so I already prepared one. Then we also have the bigger piece that's going to be the actual handle. Now for that you have a piece that's 8.5 by 3/4, I thought it was, yeah. And the piece of Tyvek, same length, 8.5 by 1 3/4. I didn't. Let's see. we'll manage. I will place a piece in between there as well. You can do that as well if you want. So I think the cutting guide says 1 3/4, but I'm not sure. But my piece is 1 1/4. I will make it work. So we are going to make the handle from a wider piece towards that smaller piece where it can go through the jump ring. So for that, I've placed my piece of cardstock against my ruler, finding the center of it. So I know it's, no, I cut my piece a little short. That's because that was a scrap that I had lying around. It doesn't matter. You can also do it with 8 if you want. So I centered it, and now I'm going to measure 2.5 inches to both sides. So 2.5 on this side, 2.5 on that side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the piece. Center it, 2.5 and 2.5. Then the next step is I'm going to the shorter side. Again, I'm going to find the center, and I know it's about, you should have 3/8 on both sides. And then I'm going to, oh, let's do that correctly. I want to have 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going 1/8 of an inch to the left, 1/8 of an inch to the left, and 1/8 of an inch to the right. So I'm having 1/4 of an inch in the middle, and I'm going to do the same thing on the top of the piece. Then I'm lining up the ruler with that marks that I've made on the smaller side, so where we get that 1/4 of an inch. And then I am, I'm going to do the one that's most to the top for me now. I'm lining it up, and I made that mark here, that was 2.5 inches from the middle. And then I'm going at that 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch lower than that mark that I've made over there. So that's right here. And then I'm doing the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to do, I've already did it here on both sides, so I'm going to do it right here now. So I have my pencil mark here and my pencil mark here. I'm lining it up with that top line. So 1/4 of an inch from the top. From this side, 1/4 of an inch from that side. I have my pencil mark that I've made right here. And so that's on my 1 here. And I'm going 3/8 of an inch down. So that's 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch down. I'm drawing the line towards the bottom to that pencil mark over there, and I'm going to connect this pencil mark with that point right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah, you have to turn your piece around several times, but that's okay. So it's now my pencil mark lines up with 2 1/4, so I'm going 1, 2, 3 of an inches down. It should be a little bit lower. Connecting those pencil marks, and then I'm going to connect those two as well. So like I said, you have to fuzz around a little bit to get this look. You can make it in a simpler version if you want to. So now we are going to cut out these pieces. I have my small scissors here, so that's what I'm using. Just cutting on the pencil lines. And then that is what we will have right there. So I'll do the same thing over here. And this piece we will also wrap in that tie bag. So in order to do so, to have a good stick, you can use wet glue of course, but I'm just going to use my 1/4 of an inch tape. Cover this piece, and if you have a little bit of tape overhang, that doesn't matter. Just go from one side to the other side, because it's easier. And I'm going to place some here as well. Just covering the whole piece, it's the easiest I think. Okay, let's trim this a little bit. So I have that other piece of tie bag and I'm going to place this on top of this, and I am going to, let's see, I'm just going to place this one first, put it on there. Like I said, it's been a while, so please bear with me if I'm figuring out what's the best way of doing this. And even then, high chance that my way of doing it is far from the best way of doing it. So I'm just placing it on it. Try to center it as much as you can, so you have a nice overlap on both sides of your wider part. You see I'm a little bit off. And that I will cut in a second. So now we have to make sure that it sticks on here as well. So let's place some tape. I'm going on the wider side around the cut edge. I mean, now it doesn't really matter if I have tape overhang, because I'm going to make a little patch to cover the whole bottom as well. But if you don't have it, then you want to make sure that you don't have any tape overhang. So then I'm just placing some double-sided tape now around the cardstock. Okay, so we've placed double-sided tape around the cardstock, and now we can just trim our tie back down a little bit because we don't need this much. So I'm just roughly making sure that I have enough room around it, of course, but just cutting that down a little bit. Okay, so now we also have to make sure that everything folds over nicely without too much overlapping. So I'm going to, yeah, how do you call this? Taper it, fringe it, and I'm not sure. So now I'm going to start with wrapping the smaller parts. I think that's the easiest if that's done, and everything is sticking to my fingers right now. So I'm just going to start with removing the tape backing over here. So let's see, because I cut my tie back at 1 1/4, and I thought the cutting guide said 1 3/4. So if you cut it at 1 3/4, you should have overlapping all over the piece, and depending on how you cut it here, you will have your overlapping here as well. But I don't have that overlapping. Now this is going to be the bottom, so you can do two things. You can decide that it doesn't matter to you, or you can patch it, and I'm going to make a patch for it. And I'm going to measure and I want to go from here to there, 6 inches, and let's do 5/8 of an inch. So let's see if I have something lying around. I have, lucky me. So I just have my smaller paper trimmer here for now. So make it 6 inches. And how wide is this? Oh, I have to cut it just a little bit. Let's see, 5 inches, 5/8. Trying to get it as straight as I can, which is difficult with tie back and these smaller pieces. No, this is not gonna work. See me struggle with my tie back and my paper trimmer. Doesn't matter if it's not completely straight. Just went for it. Okay, so when I'm lying this on here, then I have to make some cuts, angled. So can I make a pencil mark? Maybe better on the white. I'm going to cut from here to here. So let's see. Doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe I should place tape on this first, so you can nicely cut on those angles, and you have your nice tape coverage on all the angles as well. But we'll see how it goes. I'm just placing a strip. I use 1/4 of an inch tape here, in case I didn't set that before. Just going over the middle first. And you want to have your edges covered, but don't go over it. So maybe it's better if I remove this tape backing now. Let's cut this. And I think this is exactly what I did on my first piece, on the other one. And then decided to make the piece bigger for the cutting guide. So you don't have to make this patch if you don't want to. If you do want to make a patch, it's not in the cutting guide, that piece. But you can measure it yourself, of course. What do you need to make a nice patch for your piece? So try not to go over your edge right now, because then you will have tape overhanging. I'm sorry if my head is in the camera. You don't want your tape to overhang now, because then it will catch dirt and everything, because it will show when it's finished. So I'm just cutting away all the extra tape. And maybe I should have given it a dry fit before I removed that tape backing, but I think I will be fine. I should be fine, but yeah, I am. So I'm just removing it all at once. I'm not trying not to place it down completely, because I want to make sure that I'm fine on this side as well. See, and I'm not, so let's do this the other way. Let's try this here, because it's a little bit longer. Yes. I'm going to cut a little bit extras away here. And push it down. So that's just cleaning it up a little bit. So now again I'm seeing all those white edges. Let me go to round on the smaller parts here as well, just like we did on the small pieces. And then again with the Sharpie we are going to cover up all those white edges that we can see. Looks good to me. So now we are going down to the really hard part where we have to place our eyelets. So our jump rings are going through here. So we have to make a hole for our eyelet right there. So, and this is going to be a hard part to film, a hard part to do, but we have to make a hole 1/8 of an inch, and you have to try to get it as centered as you can on there. And that's really hard to see on these with this, so don't be too hard on yourself, just be brave, go for it, and that's not too bad actually. So I'm just leaving the jump ring in there, I think, or maybe not. Am I going to use it to place that one? No, just leave it in there, you will be fine. You want to have the good part of your eyelet on the nice part of your handle, of course, so just push it in. My settings are right for this eyelet. Lately I am having trouble with using it in the right way, so but there we go. So that's the first part of our handle, and we are going to do the same thing on this side. So this looks pretty easy now, but I can guarantee you it's not. So just take your time, and I don't want to yeah, of course you can do it, but just take your time and just prepare yourself for the fact that you know you're working with small pieces and it's not going to be easy. But if you just take your time, don't be too hard on yourself, and you will be fine. Don't go for being perfect like I am doing now. I want to have that fold on the perfect place. Well, you know, it's just not going to work that way. It's handmade, perfectly handmade is what I heard somebody say the other day, and I was like, yep, you're right, perfectly handmade. So if you want to have something that's perfect, then we can buy it in the store. So again, I'm having this in the folded position, and I see that it's coming loose a little bit here. So I can fix it in a minute. So again, making that hole, push my eyelet through on the top, so from the good side, and set it. Yes, perfect. That's phase one complete. So I have the other one here with me just so I can check if I'm going in the right direction. So now we are going to place these ones through the jump ring again, and make sure that we have enough space to place an eyelet, and then we can place the other part on the cover. So again, I'm placing one of our smaller parts through the jump ring, and I'm going to place it from the top. So this is the good part, and I'm going from the top, folding it down to the bottom, so that construction part will be at the bottom. Just make sure that you have enough room to place your brads on the cover, and you have enough room to place an eyelet in here. So again, I'm just folding it over, make it tight, 1/8 of an inch hole, and center it as best as you can, like so. And again, not bad actually. For the first time, I know I made these pieces like 3 or 4 times over and over because I was so upset with my eyelets or not placing it right. And you know, it's smaller parts, so it's easy to get that done again, but you don't want to have to make that one again. Like that. And we are going to do the same thing over here. So again, I'm going from the top, folding it down to the bottom. Just try to make sure that you're about the same as the other side. Making it nice and flat and tight. Make that whole... Okay. Center it as you can again. I'm on a roll here. See, it's a little bit offset, but that's pretty good to me. It could be better, but these two are pretty much perfect. These two are both a little bit offset, but I can live with that. How was I doing this again? Oh yeah, like this. Okay, so those are the eyelets and our handle. Now what we can do is use something that's a little bit round. Let's not take something that's sharp. Maybe this one. Just, you know, roll it a little bit. You don't have to do it, but I would do it. If you want to do it, I would do it before you attach it. So you get that curve in there just a little bit, and it doesn't have to be too much. So I think what's wise to do is make our holes where we want to have our breads on here first. And I'm going to use this one for it. So you want to be a little bit away from the side, and I've placed them about 1/4 of an inch from each other. So I didn't measure it or anything, but I just eyeballed it. So I'm just going for right there. Be careful that you don't hurt yourself. Right there, and then about 1/4 of an inch. Won't have enough space for it to come up, so yeah. And right there. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So again, I'm just trying to eyeball that I'm almost the same as I'm over there. And then when this is done, another project finished. It's unbelievable. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, well, let's take this one. I'm just going to decide on, yeah, I want to see a little bit of my pattern paper on the sides. Like that, try to place it centered. So just hold it in place. And I'm going to mark where I'm making my holes in the chipboard. Doing the same thing over here. Just like that. I don't know if you can see it, but I've made my marks, and now we have to go all the way through the chipboard. So let's see if that's going to work with this, and otherwise I have to make a hole with my but I think I'm look perfect. Okay. Yes. So what we can do is we can use some glue on the bottom of this as well for extra strength. Oh, I really need to clean this bottle. So let's see. On the bad side, of course, I'm just placing some glue. Put this bread. Maybe I should have done that first, but no. Okay, here's where we get messy. I'm going to get rid of the glue for a second. I'm trying to get the bread through first. Maybe my hole isn't big enough. And I think with the other one I really made a hole with my crocodile as well. Yes, there we go. Okay, now I'm placing that extra little bit of glue here. Don't go too much on it. And push them through the holes that we made in the chipboard. And push on that. And now we can make these flat. I don't have the nice tool for your breads to set them. Make sure that the legs of the breads are going in lengthwise. So you can cover it up with that pattern paper. Maybe here on the top when I'm going a little bit off. But make sure that you have them in a place where your pattern paper will go over it. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to patch it with some Tyvek. Just to make sure that you don't go through your pattern paper with it. So we can do the same thing on the other side. Again, I'm just making the holes on this one a little bit bigger. So a little sneak peek of what I did with the matting as well for you. So let's see how we are doing over here. Oh, that looks pretty good to me. You can fold on this one as well if you want it to be a little bit more wider than going up. So I am going to make a little, I'm just removing some glue here, a little bit too much. I am making a little patch of Tyvek to go on top of there, and I had some little pieces lying around, so I think this will be perfect, just a little smaller. I just cut it with my scissors. Yep, so that's has two functions. One, if I'm placing my pattern paper and I'm not completely covering the bread, then I will see the black of the Tyvek and not the bread. And also it prevents from ripping your pattern paper. So I have my last piece of pattern paper and I see that I've already inked the edges. So I'm just going to place it on there and then I'm finished. Maybe I'll do some more embellishing, I'm not sure. I don't want to go too much on it because especially over here there's a lot going on already. Normally I actually don't put this much glue on my pieces of pattern paper, but okay. And just place it on there. And then that construction is completely covered. See that I need to hold on to it on top of the tie back a little bit longer. So maybe I should have used double-sided tape on this piece. I think if I work it a little bit, it will be fine. Okay. And that's it. Right. If you want to have those feet on here, and I'm kind of in doubt if I'm going to do it. Let's see, how does it stand up? You can just leave it like this. Let me show you the feet that I've put on the other one. This is what I've used for it. The little feet that went on the bottom. Can give you a little bit of extras, but it also makes it a little less stable when it's standing up. So I don't think I'm going to do it on this one, but of course you can do it if you want to. I've got them at, I believe it was Michael's, and they called Sticky Gems. And they have adhesive on the back, but yeah, you have to combine it with some sort of glue. So I had them in the, yeah, let's call it a glass look, transparent, and the black ones. They weren't expensive at all, so you can use them if you want, and I don't think I'm going to use them on here for now. I'm just leaving it like this. So that's it. That's the brag burst. I will do a final walkthrough of this one so you can see complete matting of it. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series of the brag purse. I know I did. It's a really fun project to make. I was struggling a little bit with the matting, but that's because I used the same paper pack as I did for this one, and yeah, I was a little bit more bound to papers that I was able to use, but that's fine. It still turned out pretty awesome, but it took me a little longer than normal. But yeah, really fun project to make and to work on. A really nice gift for someone with some pictures in it. So I hope you're going to make it. So let me know if you do. Please let me know. So thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.